even if you tell me and you prove that they're gang members, I'm not so sure that I'm okay with them being sent off to be tortured in a foreign country, but I'll leave that aside.
Several days later.
Breaking news, the Supreme Court has just paused the midnight deadline to return a Maryland man who was mistakenly deported to El Salvador. A lower court ordered the Trump administration to bring Kilmar Abrego Garcia, a Salvadorian national, back to the United States by 11:59 p.m. tonight.
We're getting some breaking news at this hour coming out of the Supreme Court. The U.S. Supreme Court has handed President Trump a victory, letting him and his administration use the 1798 law that historically has been employed only in wartime to swiftly deport alleged Venezuelan gang members as part of the Republican president's hardline approach to immigration, granting that administration request to lift the Washington-based U.S. judge James Boasberg's March 15th order that had temporarily blocked the summary deportations under the Alien Enemies Act while litigation in the case.
In just the past 15 minutes, Supreme Court's Chief Justice John Roberts temporarily pausing a judge's order that required a deported Maryland man to be returned to the U.S. by tonight. It means for now, Kilmar Abrego Garcia will not be coming back to the United States.
So this is part of the major developments in the case Fox 5 has stayed ahead of from the very start.
Let's get to Chief Legal Correspondent Katie Barlow live outside the Supreme Court with the latest.
Hey, good evening, ladies. As you said, just about 15 minutes ago, Chief Justice John Roberts issued what's called an administrative stay. It's a temporary pause that kind of freezes everything in place and stays or pauses Judge Paula Zinnis's order that would have required Kilmar Abrego Garcia to be returned to the United States by midnight tonight. This comes as the Department of Justice asked the Supreme Court to step in here and put that pause order in place. Now, the chief got this request because he's actually in charge of requests that come up from the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals, overseeing cases out of Maryland. And basically what happens now is he will refer the matter to the full court for consideration. And they seem to be interested in moving quickly here, sensitive to the timeline, because the Chief Justice called for a response by 5 o'clock tomorrow. But it turns out Abrego Garcia's legal team didn't need that long because just minutes ago, they filed their response to the Department of Justice saying that this order should be allowed to go forward and that Abrego Garcia should be returned by midnight tonight in their filing. They called this a case one of one. This is a one-off, essentially, where the government admitted a mistake in deporting Abrego Garcia to his home country of El Salvador when there was an order from an immigration judge saying specifically that he cannot be deported to El Salvador.